Good evening, ladies and gentlemen all over Australia. Thank you very much for tuning in. Tough times never last, but tough people do. If you're going through a tough issue at the moment, whether it's a relationship breakup, maybe bankruptcy, maybe you've got a very serious medical disease, God bless you. I hope you have a bit of fun this week. Thank you for allowing me in your living room every week. The way I get through tough times personally, I meditate every day. I started that 15 years ago when I went through some personal issues in my own life, and I just spend about 1 hour in solitude every single day, and it just seems to make things a lot better every day. Do you know what I mean? Mim, how are you? Good to see you.
Thanks.
I forgot to introduce our lovely guest, Mim. She's on the couch tonight, and you've certainly gone through some tough times, Mim. You've, from your email, you've had cancer, you've had a stroke, you've gone through domestic violence, you lived on the street, but you're a tough cookie, aren't you?
Well, yeah, now I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think tough things make you stronger.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, as a human being, we all go through tough times. Unfortunately, some more tough times than others, don't they? I mean, you've certainly had a fair share, haven't you?
Yeah, I have had my fair share.
Yeah.
I suppose the start of my fair share, I think, came in 1999 when I was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And I was in Western Australia at the time because I thought I was about to have a budding singing career. But because the cancer started, and then I had a small operation and then another operation, and then they said that the doctors said that if the next operation I had only a slim chance of survival, only 35%. So I came back to Victoria to have
What
the
sort
operation.
of cancer was it, Mim?
I had 2 different kinds of cancer. I had adenocarcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma. One of them is a really quick moving cancer and the other one is a slow moving cancer, but the quick moving one was extremely dangerous. Anyway.
Must be very distressing because for the viewers, we've got to explain that you're a single mum and
Yep,
three kids.
Yeah, they were 5, 9 and... 5, 8 and 13 at the time.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't want to have them in foster care because I've been a foster care.
So you really believe that you're
well.
going to die at this time?
I didn't believe it, but I thought just in case. I'd come back to Victoria so my family would help and the kids' dad would help and things would get better.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And how long did you go through this for? When did the good news come that the cancer went away?
3 years ago. So because it was such an aggressive form of cancer, then I was on checkups every 6 weeks and then every 12 weeks for a couple of years and then every 6 months for a few years as well.
It's a little fly hanging around, isn't it?
How rude.
Yes. Yeah. So were you really sick? Were you really crook every day and couldn't get out of bed, Mim?
I had no choice. When I had the final operation, which was a 5.5-hour operation, I was homeless at the time, and I rang from hospital because I'd been ringing to try and find housing because my kids and I had spent the night in the car and on the floor at different people's houses, and one of the places I rang when I was in hospital told me that I wasn't technically homeless because I was still in hospital. So I had to discharge myself early from hospital and sleep on my friend's floor. But I was supposed to be in hospital for 10 days.
How long were you homeless for? A while?
Oh, probably a couple of years on and off.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a single mum,
yep.
Doesn't the government sort of pay quite a substantial amount of money every fortnight? Is that how it works? Or, I mean, I just think sometimes when you got...
That's why government housing has been established, because a single mum on welfare benefits, you need to have a pretty low house to be able to afford private rental. And now with the people from overseas, I don't mean to be rude, but the people from overseas buying so much of the houses in Victoria, the rental prices are going up even more. So if you don't have government housing or a pretty cheap rent, it's pretty hard to survive.
And I suppose, Mim, because you're sick, all the expenses went on lots of things, looking after the girls. Have you got girls or boys?
I've got 2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl, and you're looking after them and living week to week. And then there came a stage when you just had no funds left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because we had to move from Western Australia to Victoria, that took a huge chunk of everything.
Yeah.
So that put me in debt, actually. And I was told that when we left Western Australia that there would be supports when I got here, but just because someone says it doesn't mean it's real.
No.
So it didn't happen.
When you went through that tough time with the cancer, and that I mean, the kids must have been so supportive, huh?
Yeah, one time I hemorrhaged and had to be taken back to hospital. This is after we just moved into transitional housing. And my son at the time was 13, and he looked after the two little ones for a couple of days until someone came, because I was taken to hospital by ambulance.
You haven't got a big social circle or an extended family who sort of helped out during that time?
Well, a little bit, but the day that I came out of hospital with the big operation, my mum said she didn't want to be my mum anymore.
Right.
Because she'd heard that I'd gone and assumed that I'd gone. So I rang her to say no, I was on the floor at my friend's house, and it was just too much for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got through that okay? Yeah. So for a while there, you must have been quite down for many, many months, and then what sparked you up again? What action did you take?
I'm a true believer in counselling. I just love it.
Yeah.
I reckon if you're having a hard time and you don't have the resources around you, find someone that does.
For sure.
So I just love counselling, and for that thing, I think. And then we got, after we were in.
It's funny you should say that. I read a book only yesterday saying that out of all professionals, counsellors and psychologists suicide twice as much as other professionals.
No wonder if they're bombarded with the kind
Isn't
of
that amazing
stuff that
though? I wonder sometimes what makes counsellors and psychoanalysts and psychologists choose that sort of work, you know what I mean? And I suppose you're right, if they're bombarded with insanity and problems of the mind all the time.
And just the unbelievable sadness of the human spirit sometimes.
But you know, one thing I find, viewers, it's very, very difficult to find a fair income and a good psychologist. You know, that's so true. There's so many people doing psychology, but it's so difficult to find a good psychologist, you know.
Yeah, but
like any profession, I suppose.
I went, I was in a domestically violent relationship, and one of the worst times in that relationship, my partner at the time went to punch me in the face, and I was so enraged. I don't know how I did it, but I grabbed him and I had him in a headlock and I was twisting his neck. And I was making a decision whether I was going to kill him or not. And that's the truth, I was. And then I let him go. And then I started doing domestic violence counselling, because I don't like that, it's horrible. And
you took a stance, which is great, and if there's any viewers who are going through domestic violence, certainly, you know, but we'll be back very shortly after the next break with Mim, and we'll talk about those tough times. Welcome back to the show. I'm Michael Gazzilni. Tough times. I always say tough times never last, but tough people do, and we really have to get through those hard challenges of life, don't we? We've got Mim on the couch, a single mum who's certainly had her tough times in life. She's battled cancer. She's lived on the street, supporting her young family. She's had a stroke. She's had domestic violence. But you're a very optimistic person, Mim.
Yep. I think I am.
Yeah, and what I like about you too, there's no ego there. You know, I work as a lawyer in the legal profession, and before that I was a cop. But you know, a lot of good, down-to-earth people. But there's so many egos with people who wear uniforms. You know, you have Victoria Police written on your sleeve, and a couple of senior constable stripes. You know, a lot of ego there. Barristers, solicitors, some great people. But you know, it would be nice if we could just go through life for a week, and we should all try this, to be really authentic, truthful, without being so phony or pretentious, you know. The Eastern societies say the original face, you know, no pretentious. We're not ruled or dominated by anybody, and we don't give a shit about the opinions of other people, you know. That's the beautiful thing, if we can come to that state. And for me, meditation does it, you know. When I meditate, all the phony, all the false, the fear of others disappears. Does that make sense?
I value other people's opinion, though.
I value other people's opinion, but not if they backstab you.
Yeah, but they only backstab you because they feel insecure, I think.
That's exactly right.
So that's not really anything to do with you, so there's no real need to get worried about it.
No, that's very true, and I don't worry about that sort of stuff, but A lot of people do, and I think that's why people are so scared of public speaking. You know, it's not actually the act of speaking, but it's what other people may think of their speaking.
Yeah.
Do you know? But tell me, Mem, about you. Now back to you. The Housing Commission. You don't like it?
No, I don't really. Because I'm in a cluster of Housing Commission, and back in the 70s we were warned not to do the high-rise because of you're putting a whole bunch of people that have had really horrible lives into a place together. So it's a cesspit of abuses, whether it's domestic violence or substance abuse or pokey addiction or any of those kind of abuses. There's a cesspit of it. So all of the people that you're supported by come from that. So how do you change that if everyone is in that cycle? So I think that's really good that the government's changed their attitude and that they're putting spot houses and less of clusters of, I don't know, the marginalised of society.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I don't like about it is that it puts a spotlight on Housing Commission. So if there's a whole bunch of people that have got problems and so behave badly, and it's just behaviour, they just need to learn to behave differently. And if there's no support to teach them how to behave differently, then that behaviour goes on a lot.
Good point. Now Mem, talking about Housing Commission, a lot of domestic violence, you went through it a few times in your life?
Yeah, of course, because my parents taught me how to be in domestic violence. I think it's only now that because of education, that people are starting to understand that domestic violence is taught from the time you're little, not that all of a sudden you meet a domestically violent partner and then that's the person that's abusive. It's that your parents taught you, and I know I'm raising a flag here and a few people won't agree with that, but sorry, it's the truth.
You think we're born that way, it's in our genes, or we pick it up from our mum and dad?
Our parents teach us it. I really believe our parents teach us it.
Yeah, because we all have blues, don't we? I mean, everyone has blues. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship, and I don't think there's no such thing as a perfect person. We, as a psychologist friend of mine said, we're all broken.
Yes, but I would hope that you wouldn't break an iron bar in half and come after your partner, whereas that was part of my life. So that's the kind of difference. Everyone has arguments, but when it's one person controlling another, that's not...
Well, it becomes habitual, isn't it? These violent people, we see them around the courts, and it becomes habitual. It's almost like... it's like a rubber band. Once we get to the swearing, the person's always going to swear when they have a domestic. If it comes to the punching or the iron bar, so once a person gets to that stage, they always can't go back, don't they?
But they've been taught that behaviour since they were little.
It's anger. Anger's a disgraceful thing, isn't it?
I don't know that anger's a disgraceful thing because I get angry, but abusive behaviour is a disgraceful thing.
Abusive behaviour when it's mixed with anger, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think the disgrace is that we point the finger at everyone that's in those cycles. So the men don't get help because they feel victimised, and women don't get help. Well, women are starting to get help.
Yeah.
But people always blame women for being in the cycle, whereas they don't know why they're there or none of us, until I realised that my abusive relationships were taught to me and learnt some new behaviours.
So you're happy being single now, a single mum. It's working well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a good parent.
Are you scared of getting into another relationship because of the domestic violence, or
no? You're
just happy being the way things are at the moment?
I'm not frightened of relationships because it's only something like 20% of relationships are abusive. There's another 80% of men that aren't abusive.
Yes.
It's just that I've been very good at finding the ones that are.
Mem, tell me about, you said you had a stroke last year?
2008 it was.
Yeah, what happened there? Were you going through a lot of stress at the time?
Yeah, I was working at Deakin University in the research department.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is great, I've got a really big break and life's going to get better. And one morning I was eating yogurt and I couldn't swallow. And then the next moment I woke up and I was in hospital and I didn't know how I got there. What had happened, I'd driven to work, and my boss said, he's not told me actually what I did, but he said my behaviour was inappropriate.
We might talk about that incident after the next break, but it's tough times, coming back very shortly. and welcome back to the show. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've had a wonderful week. We've got the lovely Mim on the couch, and we've spoken about some amazing things, haven't we?
Yep, we have.
We've spoken about the Housing Commission, about the cancer, about being a single mum, and now about the stroke. How in the hell did you get the stroke?
Well, I thought it was because of stress, but after the stroke happened and when I was recovering, I read in my diary that the night before I'd been hit over the head with a shovel. We'd been out doing gardening in my friend's backyard, and her sister had picked up the shovel and thwacked me in the back of the head.
Yeah.
So what appeared to be a stroke, because there was bleeding on my brain.
Right.
So I had symptoms of stroke, but not actually stroke.
I see.
Yeah. So I spent a few days with a really bad headache and bruising on my brain, which finally disappeared, but it took a long time. So then I read that I'd been hit over the head with a shovel, and so it wasn't really a stroke. But the good thing about it was when I was in hospital, I read on a report permanent brain damage. So I thought I couldn't possibly go back to working at the university. So I started looking at things that I love and I'm passionate about.
Was it that bad, was it, Mim?
Oh, yeah.
Permanent brain damage?
Yeah.
God.
Well, it's not permanent brain damage, it's just that that's what they thought at the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I started doing acting, and that's what I've been doing since, acting and singing. And this year I started doing professional writing and editing.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's great. So things have really turned around. So some happy days, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I think pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm going to a thing called Town, which is a weight loss club.
Good.
In Kilsyth.
Yeah.
So I can deal with my weight, because I've got a bit of a weight issue. Not that anyone would notice. And I'm still going to domestic violence counselling if I need to. And
you're looking good, Mim. But I suppose you've got to be comfortable, with yourself.
Yeah.
Are the kids happy?
Yeah, I've got great kids. I've got the best kids on the planet.
Your best mates?
Yeah, they're really good people.
Yeah.
They're really
how old
nice
are they now?
people. My eldest son's 24.
Already?
Yeah, I had him when he was 12. No, really, I didn't. My middle son's 19 and my daughter's 16.
Okay.
And the middle son and the daughter, they're still at school. They're both one's doing his VCE and the other one's doing her year 11.
Right.
Because the 19-year-old went back. And the 24-year-old is a singer-songwriter, and he's also doing his own stuff.
Following Mum's footsteps.
Well, the 19-year-old and the 16-year-old, they're both musical as well. The 19-year-old was in a rap competition in America, and they came third, him and the guy that he was with. And my daughter plays the cello, and she's into acting and singing. And
that's wonderful. What a creative family. And Mim, the plans are to finish this course and then get into a successful career, and then get out of the Housing Commission and maybe... Yeah,
I want to prove The Secret. The Secret?
Yes.
I want to prove that. So I've got a list of things that I'm doing to make sure that I prove The Secret.
Oh, you've got the vision board happening. Have you?
Oh, not just the vision board. I've got diaries. I've got 1,000 diaries that's helping me along the way.
Yeah. Well, that was an interesting concept, The Secret, wasn't it? Books, videos. I think she made about $36 million out of that whole book and video. But at the end of the day, there must be something in it. The laws of attraction, what do we think about, sort of comes into fruition, and I think we all get those karmic reactions, don't we, when we think about something and all of a sudden we get that phone call or...
Well, I've had a second call back for a film.
Yeah.
I didn't ad last week, so that's finally getting some money.
But you've been thinking about it, huh?
Yep, and the other thing is, and I'm doing ghost tours for Williamstown Ghost Tours, so that's another thing on the same whole
Fantastic.
vein.
So you're surviving and you're having a bit of fun along the way?
Yep, sure am.
Any holidays coming up? Or?
I went and saw a psychic and she said I'm going overseas.
Excellent. When was the last holiday you had?
Last year. My kids and I, those cheap holidays that you see every now and again?
Yeah.
If you do it really quickly, you can go. Well, 2 flights for 4 of us to Queensland for $80, so we went to Queensland for a couple of days.
Good times?
Yeah, it was fun. It was good to wing it.
And Mim, tell me, what advice can you give to... There's a lot of people watching who are going through sort of tough times, relationship bust-ups, living on the street, drug problems, or self-esteem problems. A lot of people want to kill themselves, but just don't know how to do it or when. What's your advice to about life now that you've come this far?
Well, a couple of things that I do that I think that have helped me is One, counselling. I love counselling. I think that's the best thing on the planet.
You love counselling people, or you like getting...
I like getting counselling.
You like getting counselling?
Yeah.
What sort of people do you see? A psychiatrist, psychologist?
I like group therapy because I find that if you hear someone else's story, then you can have more compassion for them. And once you have compassion for them, you can give yourself compassion.
Right.
So I like group therapy.
Yes.
What else? If you're not happy with anything in your life, find someone that knows how to do it better. So if it's just read a book or go and find a mentor or whatever it is, and always do something nice for other people. Like I always take in, last year I think I had 7 people come and stay with me that had been kicked out of home or had lost their job and had lost all of their money and come and stayed with me, or that were from other countries and had nowhere to go. So I think because I've not had it so easy, I'm not going to say to someone else no.
That's lovely. It sounds like there's some good karma going to come back your way, huh?
Oh, good karma comes every day.
So you believe in the law of attraction. What we think about strongly enough comes true?
Well, yeah, I do, but I also think you've got to be a nice person, and I think you've got to have integrity.
Yeah.
So I always used to blame people in my life for how my life came, and once I took responsibility, then my life got better. And
that's so right, viewers, isn't it? The best thing you can do for yourself in this lifetime is take full responsibility for your life. You know, go and look in the bathroom mirror right now and have a look at all the friends you hang around with, have a look at your bank account, where you are, where you're living, and just say to yourself, I am responsible. Because you attracted all that into your life, didn't you? There's circumstances, but even, you know, you attract the people into your life, don't you?
Yeah, but I always say you don't have choice until you realise you have choice.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realise they have choice.
No.
And if you're still living in whatever particular cycle of horribleness it is, you don't know that you can get a way out, or there is a way out.
There's always a way out, isn't there? There's always a way through, over, but there's always a way out of every tough time, isn't it?
I think
because
so.
I always say that no tough time lasts forever. There's a lifespan to every problem, isn't there? And there's always a rainbow, you could say, a happier other side, isn't there?
I think so.
And a lot of the tough times bring us to a better place, don't they?
If you're willing to look.
You know? I know a lot of people who've, only because they've gone through a tough time, have, you know, the other side of the bridge, they wouldn't have gone that path by themselves.
But I had help. There was always someone to give me help.
Yeah.
As we were talking about before, which you guys didn't know, but when you're in so much pain, you can't make decisions. Yes. If there's someone out there to give you a hand, then it's much easier to make decisions.
Much easier. So we can't do things by ourselves, can we, folks? We've got to include others. Mem, thanks very much for sharing.
No
Take
worries.
good care. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. Some great advice. If you're going through some problems, don't be scared to share those problems with other people. There's lots of helpers out there, a lot of lovely people who want to make a difference. If you've got an interesting story to share, why not give me a call or email? Thank you once again for watching. Love and best wishes, and we'll see you next week. Good night.